G'day footy fans and welcome to Boothy's AFL Dream Team podcast. Today I'm going to look at forwards. Well, the JLT series is done and dusted for another year and we have 10 days until round 1 kicks off with Richmond versus Carlton at the MCG. So here are the forwards I recommend you consider for your dream team for this year, which you need to get in obviously over the next 10 days. So we have in F1 position, we have players like Dowhouse from Bulldogs, McRae, Bulldogs, Green from GWS, Franklin from Sydney, if you like key forwards, Isaac Smith from Hawthorn, Tom Lynch from Gold Coast, who's played Brisbane in round 1, and they've got a track record of probably giving up a lot of goals because they're young defence, so consider him. Took Miller from Gold Coast as well, Devon Smith from GWS, and he could be quite good given that one of their best players, Cornelio, is out for that round, so he could get more midfield time. Higgins from North Melbourne, who looks very sharp as a mid/forward. Kennedy from West Coast, if you like keys. Dunkley from Bulldogs as well. Jack Steele from going to St Kilda, who's got 100 in both JLT games the last two. Great inside midfielder from GWS and looks really fantastic and good value. Billings from St Kilda, who's getting now 30 possessions in some games. Lin Zhong, who's getting a game at the Bulldogs now and kicks goals and gets about 20 possessions. Caleb Daniel, who I love as a third-year player, who racks them up even though he's one of the shortest players in the AFL, but looks fantastic. McKernan's there as a Essendon ruckman because of their injury to both their big ruckmen, so he's the only one left. And McKernan's history of playing in the ruck is that he basically gets the hit out and then he ruck rows and gets tackles and kicks and also gets a couple of goals. So his average when he plays as the only ruckman is basically about 100. And of course his average is well under that because he doesn't get that opportunity very often. So in JLT on the weekend when Leuenberger went down early, the ruckman, McKernan ended up scoring 110. So McKernan is good value given Leuenberger's out for round 1 and so is Bill Chambers at this stage. So look out for that if you want to pick McKernan. Yo's there because he got a massive score of about 148 last year and he got a big 100 score on the weekend from West Coast. Hogan, if you love key forwards, is getting better each year and could get a massive score this year overall. Bradley Hill is there because he's better at Fremantle with his brother and he's also a mid-forward player. Stringer's there because he's All-Australian 2 years ago, was a bit quieter last year and went bang and got 100 the other day in the JLT game. Roughhead's there because he could get average 90 for the year after his cancer. Cole Langford's there because he's improving all the time from Essendon and looks really good and has modelled his game on Nat Fyfe. Third-year player, obviously nowhere near Nat Fyfe's ability, but very good up-and-coming player that gets better every week. Phillips is there from Collingwood because they've had a few injury concerns with Pendlebury, the latest, and he seems to be getting in the 90s and 100s. Tom Phillips is underpriced because he only played 6 games. Clay Smith from the Bulldogs, who got a 140 late last year, so has the capabilities of getting big scores. Horvat's there, probably underpriced, gone to North Melbourne at 380, so it could be worth about 500 possibly, especially with the midfield time at North Melbourne now. Nankervis is there because he's the sole ruckman at Richmond, guaranteed for round 1. 365, he's probably good for about 80 points, so well above that. Boyd is there for the same reason from the Bulldogs with all their ruck issues, and their young fella Tim English is not ready, so Boyd will be the main ruckman there for round 1, so probably could get, plus 20 points sort of for that game. Gresham's there because he's an absolutely gun-looking second-year player that gets in the midfield occasionally but looks so classy as a forward, and he's pretty well priced. Jet is there because he's had a great pre-season and is undervalued than what he could get at West Coast. Smets has transferred over from Geelong, is finally fit at Carlton and got 89 the other day, so he's well priced. Darcy Lang's there at Geelong if he gets into round 1 because of their injuries at the moment and looks quite good. Robinson's there for Sydney for the same reason. If Kieran Jack doesn't get up for round 1 and McVeigh's not there and they've lost Tom Mitchell from last year and so on, and of course Heaney's not there, so he's there for that reason. Matthew Kennedy's there from GWS because he looks great, second-year player, and of course with players like Whitfield and Cornelio out for round 1 and even Deledio, he could get a game and looks really good and averages, could get 20 possessions. Taranto, the same, first-year player, GWS, exactly the similar, gets in the middle too and gets some in and under type ball. Hoskin Elliott's there because he's underpriced at Collingwood, but he won't get massive scores. McCarthy's there for his 6 goals at Freo, but be careful with key forwards if he has a bad day against Geelong. Florent for Sydney looks a lock for round 1 and looks classy. James Stewart for Essendon's doing some ruck work on the back of their injuries and as a key forward, a couple of goals on the weekend, so he's probably pretty cheap if you like key forwards. Parfitt from Geelong looks classy. If he's in round 1, he's pretty cheap as well. So that's all the players who cost more than 150, and my recommendation for you is that your F7 and F8, your 2 bench players, are not more than 150. So the best 150s, the only ones I could really justify at the moment, are probably Miles from Hawthorn and Eddie from Port Adelaide, the best 2. Black from Geelong if he gets a game, but he may not. Butler from Richmond probably will get a game, so he could be a good one. Houston's played 3 JLTs for Port. and is averaging about 13 disposals, so it could be a good one on the bench. Chol and Greenwood, I don't think they'll play round one for Richmond and Adelaide respectively, but they're 150s if you're interested. Wiedemann for Melbourne will play, but he won't get big scores. So they're the players to consider in F7 and F8, but my recommendation, as I said, is don't spend any money on those guys. Only spend the 150s on the bench players and make up one of them your emergency. Obviously, check the round one teams before you finalise your team. And Heaney, you can't pick because of his injury at the moment, his illness. Motlop hasn't played much at all, so risky. Caddy doesn't look good enough for me for the price he is at Richmond. Bell and Taylor from Brisbane aren't doing enough as well, so I've got rid of those from my original podcasts for those teams. So that's it. Between $2.6 million and $2.9 million is what you'll probably end up spending. If you have a look at my examples down there, there's 5 examples. And depends on the rest of your value, of course, your overall team and what you've done in the other positions. But that's what it'll end up being. I've got the buys there as well to remind yourself to try and balance those out as well. And I will go back and review my midfield, my ruck, and my defence now that JLT's over. I'll do that over the next few nights. So I'll say that again. I will review my midfielders, my defenders, and my ruckman. And I want to add Hickey from St Kilda because he was unbelievable with 29 possessions. But I'll talk about that tomorrow when I do rucks. Well, there it is. Good luck. And don't forget you get your team in the next 10 days. Please subscribe. Please like. Please comment. Please share. And bye for now.